Hello, Ken Lauer here, Feng Shui consultant, and today is Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern, so that means that we're going live for Feng Shui Q&A. So this is your opportunity to get your questions answered, submit photos, or anything that's kind of perplexing you or getting you stuck. So today we have the opportunity to sit down and just chat for a couple minutes and see what's going on with you guys and try to get you more clarity so that you guys can all get into a place of achieving more, having more fun, and plain and simple, being more present with clarity in your life. So feel free to shout out where you're at or what's going on with you guys, and would love to join in. And then feel free to submit any questions or that you have here in the comments below. Hey Donna, how are you? So glad that you're joining in. Thank you so much for being here. And also you can submit photos too. So give me just a second. Yolanda, hello, how are you? Just getting things set up here. So I want to make sure I can see everyone's comments. All right. So if anybody has any questions or anything like that, feel free to jump in. And I'll have a couple of topics that I want to share with you guys as well. All right, good. So here's what I want you guys to think about today as you start your week. Working and watching you on Yolanda. Awesome. Glad to hear that you're here. So what I want you guys to think about is, focusing on what are your intentions and your outcomes. Everybody is grinding it out as far as what they need to do, what they want to do, or what they need to do this moment. And that's all well and good. But, I just came back I had the amazing opportunity to visit Rome and Greece. And one of the things I've always been interested in, Roman architecture, Greek architecture, and things like that. Had the opportunity to go to the Vatican City, see the Sistine Chapel, and things like that. And so as you start to dive into some of these major historical points as far as construction, art, Renaissance, or anything like that, you start to understand how much planning actually had to take place back then. Now, planning still happens today, but all of a sudden you're talking about projects that might be decades or, hundreds of years. And so it's not that instant gratification where somebody truly has to master their craft and then have a team or themselves to truly understand what is this going to look like and what is the print that I'm going to leave behind. I was looking at things that are, centuries and centuries old. And it's amazing how well designed they were or what the thought was. Example like at the Parthenon. It's not a direct line across the front side. It's actually a little higher in the center by literally like millimeters to give the illusion that it's a straight line. Now, Steve Jobs had done this when he worked on the computer with the cube, trying to make it look like a perfect cube, but in order to trick the eye, it's actually an imperfect measurement. So it's not equal, because the eye is curved and it does things like that. So what I want you guys to think about today is, in the grand scheme of things, what is it that I really want? What is it that I really want to achieve? And at the end of the day, what is my outcomes? Because a lot of times, as I've talked here in the past, is most people get consumed or obsessed with the tools and not the outcomes. And what you want to become, you want to flip that upside down, and you want to be more obsessed with the outcomes than the tools. A lot of times I'm talking with clients and, they've worked with somebody else or they've read some articles or things like that, and they're hanging trinkets, they're putting coins in their money corner and all these things. And so I ask them, well, why are you doing that? Well, that's to bring in money, or, there are tons of different stories. Hey, Debbie, so glad. Oh, Debbie, you're awesome. Thanks for being here. You've been really active on the page. I just wanted to say appreciate it and appreciate you. So thanks so much for being here. Yeah, so you want to be more obsessed or focused on the outcome than the tools. The tools will change over time, and sometimes the tool that works really well for today is not necessarily the right tool that's going to work well for tomorrow. Now, you want to be able to dive in and you want to be able to have that knowledge. Hi, Cindy. How are you? So glad that you're here. Thanks for being here and joining us. So, you have to have flexibility and you have to know when it's okay to break the rules. Hi, Diane. Diana, thank you for being here. Top fan. Love it. Love you. So glad that you're here. So feel free to pop in and let me know where you guys are at today, where in the world. I've been in the last 36 hours. I've been in Rome. I've been in Greece. I've been in New York City. And now I'm back in the Catskills. So and other people are busy doing their things, so it's good to have this opportunity to connect with you guys. Hi, Suzanne. Awesome. Give you a high five. Yes, Florida. Awesome. All right, good. And so glad that you're on here because Miriam just engaged with me, and so we're going to be talking here in the next day or two about her home and getting her on the right path as she's rocking and rolling down there in Florida, but she's really ready to take it to the next level. So I'm excited to talk with you and get things moving. So feel free if anyone has a question or it's something that they're pondering, or if they have photos, feel free to submit them. Donna, awesome. Alaska. I love Alaska. Alaska was one of, I took a vacation in Alaska like literally when I was in 7th grade, and it was literally one of the best trips that I have ever taken. I really love Alaska. Iowa, Diana, awesome, good stuff. New Hampshire, love it, good stuff. I've already talked with somebody in Australia this morning, and then in the United Kingdom afterwards, and then was talking to Miriam in Florida. So I have the opportunity to talk with people all over the world, and that's one of the things I love about this. Oh, Debbie also lives in Alaska. Cool. So let's talk about some things that can help you guys get unstuck. So, as you're making progress in your life, the more progress you make, the more vision you're able to see out. So one of the common questions at some point you've gone through the practice of, what's your 3 to 5 year plan? Well, that's really great, but the reality is 3 to 5 years is too far out. Unless you're looking at school or something that literally has a 4-year track, or med school, or something like that, where it has a true path that you're like, okay, I'm going into school, I know that I want to graduate in 4 years, then that's kind of what you do. But in general, you can't dictate what chapter is going to come next in your life or what's going to happen. So 3 to 5 years is really far out. And so what I want you to think about is, what is bringing your vision way down and figuring out just today, what's the next simple thing that you can do to move your things forward that maybe is not in your routine already? When I ask this question to a lot of people, many times they've done certain things, but they've stopped doing them. Either it's things that they love to do and stopped doing, or things that maybe were really good patterns and behaviors and habits, but now have stopped. So I want you to chime in here. What is one thing that you used to love to do but haven't done in a while? Feel free to enter in the comments below, because I'd love to hear from you guys. Sometimes, it always comes to mind the movie The Notebook, where the character in that movie, she says, I used to love to paint and I don't paint anymore. And her fiance says, well, just go paint. And, that sounds good, but she wasn't in that space. She wasn't in that energy. And then all of a sudden she kept, she reconnected with the, one of her true loves. And then next thing you know, she's like painting. So sometimes it's about understanding what is your vibration and your frequency and what has trapped you, or it's almost a, the word that I'm trying to think of is, it's a blockage. Because you've done something, you've proven that you can do it, and then all of a sudden, now you're not doing it. But then once you do it again, all of a sudden you're reminded, yes, that's right. I do love doing this. Or yes, it feeds my soul. So Yolanda says travel by vehicle and walking long trails. So here's what I want you to think about. So traveling by vehicle, so start out small. Where can you go this week or this weekend or even today where you can travel by a vehicle? Maybe it's a favorite restaurant. Maybe it's a favorite cafe. Maybe you haven't gone to your favorite lunch spot, whatever you're doing. And then taking long walks. Well, some people may have in their head, hey, a long walk is I want to be able to spend an afternoon and I want to be able to, go to some amazing place. It can be as simple as like walking in your neighborhood or walking on a path or something like that. So it's baby steps. Just like with anything, it's taking the next simple step. The human mind tricks us all the time. It makes us think that in order to achieve something, it has to be big. It has to be that, or we don't want to do anything. Because the brain wants to think and always be on the lookout for patterns. And so what it tries to do is it tries to work in linear fashion. Meaning, let me connect the dots, and when this happens, then that can happen, and then when that happens, then that can happen. The reality is, it's the universe, right? So imagine all these are stars and planets, and they're all moving, and they're all doing their own thing. Same thing with the universe. It's not linear. And so ask yourself, what do I need to do to start to get that feeling? So Cindy says, self-care. I lost my motivation. So Cindy, question back to you. What's one simple thing you can do to take care of yourself today? You tell me in your comments below, what's one simple thing that you can do today that when you do it, you'll feel better? And literally, what is actually, while we're on the call or while we're live, is there one thing that you can do while we're right here, right now, that you can do? Maybe it's as simple as, taking a drink of water. Making sure that you have enough hydration. Like that's self-care. All too often we think it's got to be, the Instagram photo of me at the spa having an unplugged day and things like that. Yolanda says, great point. Thank you, Ken. Yes, you're absolutely right. If it's not 20 miles, it doesn't feel right. Yeah, so I'm just reading here. Joseph, greetings. So, Cindy, let me hear from you. Oh, get a pedicure. Beautiful. That's self-care. All too often, we don't give ourselves permission to take care of ourselves. And so the analogy that I always come back to is like flying on an airplane, right? So when you're getting ready to take off, they say, look, if the cabin pressure were to drop, put on your mask and then you can help others next. The challenge is what they don't tell you and the intensity that's required that if you don't put on your mask within 30 seconds, you may black out. Now, all of a sudden, not only can you not take care of yourself, you cannot help others, but now you're a liability to others because somebody has to step in and potentially help you. Same thing in life. The question is, are you putting on your oxygen mask first so that you can be of better service to others second? So giving yourself permission, and it doesn't mean that you have to, go out and spend tons of money. Sometimes it's the simple act of your morning routine in the bathroom and not treating it like, the Indy 500 where you're racing to get out. Now, if you're racing to get out, maybe you need to back up the clock a little bit or something like that. But take your time to take care of yourself and give yourself permission that it's okay to actually make yourself feel good. Or it's okay to do something for yourself. All too often I'll be in meditation or I'll be doing something for myself and then all of a sudden I'll be thinking about a client and how can I help them? And I have to remind myself, this is me time. This is my opportunity to work on me so that I can be a better service to my clients next. So same thing with you. Where in your space or what can you do to help with self-care? So pedicure, that's awesome. So here's what I want you to do, Cindy. So if you're up for it, and let me know if you are in the comments here, I'd love for you to post once your pedicure is complete, I would love for you to post your picture of your pedicure here. if you're up for it. So let me know if you would love to do that. And the rest of us can be supportive and happy and excited that you did something for yourself where you're saying that you lost the motivation for self-care, but yet you've identified something and you can understand what you need to do. So Diana says, work from home, tired of doing everything by myself and low on funds. So I can understand that there's a drain. And so what you have to understand, regardless of the funds and the amount of funds, what's something you can do, Diana, that doesn't require huge volumes of money? Maybe it's as simple as just a new doormat. Maybe it's changing the light bulb. Something that when you do, you feel better. And when you feel better, you want to do more of it. But when we're tired and exhausted or drained, by the time we get home and we see all these things that remind us of all the projects that we need to do, should do, could do, want to do, then we're exhausted and we're drained. And then next thing you know, we just want to sit down and then we can't get back up. So identify one thing that you can do to get yourself moving or to get things happening. Cindy says, okay, I will. Awesome. I can't wait to see that. That's great. So Yolanda, back to you. So, think about, you let us know in the comments below, like where can you do a simple walk today that's close to you that you can achieve? Maybe it's walking across the parking lot, putting on your favorite music or your favorite song or something like that and allowing yourself to escape. It doesn't mean that you have to go to Yosemite. It doesn't mean that you have to go to the Redwood Forest, even though that's what you would love to do. But you can build up the energy and the activation so that you can begin to work towards that. And then when you do it, then you feel tons better. I don't know, I was recently in Santorini, which is, a small island in Greece. And so it's built on top of literally like a volcanic mountain. And so getting from the sea up to the town, it's 600 steps. It's a really massive way to try to get up there. And it's difficult. But you can do it. But the reality is most people aren't able to do it because they haven't been taking enough steps to prepare themselves for that moment. So the question is, are you preparing yourself for your next chapter? And all too often when we're stuck, thank you so much guys for the thumbs up. If you're enjoying this, give me a thumbs up, a heart, whatever. I love that. Always makes me feel good, feeds my soul. So I'm glad that I can be here with you guys. So you have to understand, what are you preparing for and what are you allowing yourself in the opportunities that come your way that you'll be able to take advantage of them. If you're not prepared or you're not increasing your capacity, your capabilities, your skill set, or your mindset, there may be tons of opportunities right in front of you, but you're not in enough power or have enough energy to be able to take that next simple step. Teresa says, let's start a Care for Myself petty campaign. Let's all send in our petty pics. What date will work for having our pictures in? Maybe a week from today. Awesome. I would love that. Next Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, we will be here again. So feel free to submit all your pictures, but ideally I'd love to see them on this post so that you guys can be here and see in the comments below who's actually taken action, who's thought about taking action, and then who thought about it, thought it might be a good idea, but didn't follow through. So there's part of the accountability. So, awesome. Jesse, so good to see you here. Blanca, awesome. Always appreciate all of you guys. So feel free to submit your questions or your photos or anything like that. And then let's see. Okay. So what else, what other things that I would like to talk with you guys about is, life happens. And oftentimes what happens is we've had great success in the past, or maybe you're having still success now, but what we want is we want to experience progress and we want to experience making an impact. And you can be the most successful person out there, but if you're not making an impact or you're not experiencing progress, then you can get frustrated. Josette Awesome. So glad that you're here. So you have to start to identify, and you don't want to set yourself up for, oh, my progress of today is going to be that I'm going to shower. Now, if you're having a really tough, challenging day or week, or there's something else that's happening, taking a shower may be a huge victory. It could be an awesome victory. But to the average person, that's just one of the things that we need to do for self-care so that we can get on and accomplish a lot more. So what I want you guys to be thinking about is, what is that visibility into those steps that you need to take to move things forward? And it's about changing that visibility or that altitude if you're in a plane, so that based on where you're at, you have to adjust. So if you're having real health challenges, all you might want to do is figure out, how can I eat something? And so your vision comes way down. If all of a sudden you had huge bonus, you've done major projects, and you're just crushing it all across the board, then all of a sudden you're thinking further out. You're able to plan more in the future. And that gets exciting and that gets fun, but that comes with progress and momentum. And progress and momentum can go either way. If you're stuck, then you will continue to be stuck. If you're in motion, then the law of the universe says, you will continue to be in motion. And at the pace at which you decide. So, a lot of times when you're stuck, you're not moving forward or you're not progressing. And a lot of times you're operating then from fear, self-doubt, and anxiety because you've had events of trauma, drama, and stress. And when you've had those moments of trauma, drama, and stress, that leads then into fear, self-doubt, and anxiety. Yeah, so Debbie, says, I'm totally stuck since the earthquake, I can't go forward. So here's the process. Once you're operating from fear, self-doubt, and anxiety, then you're anxious. And not only are you anxious, but the anxiety leads into what ifs. Well, what if this happens? What if that happens? Then all of a sudden your decision process, maybe you were able to make really quick decisions. Now all of a sudden you can't make a decision. And if you do make a decision, it takes you forever. A lot of times I have salespeople or business owners and they're like, I'll talk to them and they'll say, just no one's closing or no one's converting or I can't close a deal. And then I'll make them an offer, and then guess what they're going to tell me? They're going to reflect right back to me exactly what's happening to them. Let me think about it. And understand, your actions dictate how you experience life. It's a direct reflection. It is literally a mirror showing you. If you're always negotiating for things, then guess what? People are always going to be negotiating back with you. And the question is that negotiation or that friction or anything really worth those extra minutes or those extra dollars in order for you to move forward? Sometimes it might be, sometimes it's not. And it comes down to a situation. You either, it's a situation. If it needs to be addressed, then you really lean in. And if it's not a situation, then you let it go. But most people are stuck on the fence. And it's very uncomfortable to sit on the fence. So, Miriam says, when I'm stressed, I sleep. Well, everybody has their mechanisms. And a lot of times you can look at the patterns and the behaviors, and it usually comes down to, how am I sedating or how am I suppressing who I truly am? Sedating or suppressing from reality. I had someone yesterday and he said, the older I get now, the more intrigued and interested I am into binge watching shows because it allows me to disconnect from reality. So if I tell you that, how much progress do you think that person is experiencing in his life if he's trying to find ways to sedate and suppress? Diana says, put out my summer doormat. Love that. Awesome. Great job, Diana. I love that. So, let me know. So, let's go back to Debbie. Debbie says that she's totally stuck. So, since the earthquake, I can't go forward. So, let's not worry about the earthquake. Let's not worry about the past. Let's worry about right now. So, Debbie, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a picture of a junk drawer right now. Like what is that one drawer that's never been organized or is a complete mess? And I want you to take a picture and then share it in the comments here. So while we wait for that, if anyone else has any other questions or has a comment or a photo, please feel free to submit it. And coming up on Diana's comment, putting out the summer doormat. So, you guys may have heard me say this in the past is, every piece or every part of your home tells a story. And the story it tells is not just one piece, but it's 15 different things that are all telling the same theme or story. So one of the key signs of somebody feeling stuck or not having the opportunities or feeling shut down is that their doormat is either too small, like literally like maybe here's the mouth, let's see, here's the mouth of the door, and then here's the doormat. Like literally like that. What you want to do is you want to have a doormat that goes edge to edge. Because when Laura says, oh, my junk drawer is disastrous. Laura, feel free. This is your opportunity to peel back the layers and take a picture if you're at home or near your junk drawer. Share your junk drawer. This is all about peeling back layers. And here's the thing. Men and women. Most of my clients are female. Although I know Joseph was on here. I'm not sure if he's on here now. Maybe a couple other men. But here's the thing. The most powerful person or the most powerful woman in the room is the woman that has nothing to hide. So let me say that again. The most powerful woman in the room is the woman that has nothing to hide. So if you're hiding certain things in your life or you're creating stories around a false reality, then what do you think that's doing to you, your power, and your ability to manifest? It's not working, right? Or if it is, it's completely diminishing what you're truly capable of. So, what I want you to think about is how can you begin to peel back the layers? Josette, I have a lot of things lying around, nothing to hide. Awesome. So, the whole recipe in the secret is what do we need to do to help you get back to your true self? Like, that's it. Because when you're connected to your true self, you're operating from a place of confidence and high levels of certainty. Even though you might not be operating at 100%, even if you can operate at 60%, that's a lot better than operating at 20% confidence and certainty. So, what do you need to do to get back to your true self so that you're operating from that place of confidence and certainty? And not only that, but you're making choices and decisions based on confidence and certainty rather than fear, self-doubt, and anxiety. So, who's going to be the first person to share a picture of their junk drawer? Feel free to share it here. All right. Or the other option is take a photo of your doormat and post that here. Or if you have any other Feng Shui questions, feel free to post those and things like that. So what I do want to share, while some people may be submitting pictures, running around the house and things like that, is, what I would love to do here is get on every Tuesday and talk with you guys to help those that are around or available, or maybe you're watching this in the middle of the night, or maybe this just came to you at just the right time where you're just feeling stuck, or you're just not happy or satisfied with the current levels of progress and clarity that you're experiencing. And so, what I am going to be launching in the next week is a program, and it's going to be around, Josette says, my doormat is maybe 1 to 2 inches narrow on each side. Okay, that sounds, take a look at it and see, is there a way to get a bigger doormat, or is it just right? It's hard to tell. A lot of times they're significantly more narrow than the door. But I can tell you, if you got it matching the door frame, then you might even have more potential opportunities. But, doormats a lot of times come in certain sizes, so you can take a look at that. So what I'm going to be doing is rolling out a membership program for everyone here and elsewhere that allows us to connect several times a week and have a community that we can truly have discussions that are private in a private Facebook group. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having a weekly challenge every single week where we're going to be targeting and focusing on something that's going to help you get unstuck, that's going to help you gain clarity, or that's going to help you gain progress into what you truly desire and what you really want. And then a couple times a week, we're going to be going live and we're going to be doing hot seats where you'll be able to submit your photos and get clarity on you, or there may be some coaching opportunities and things like that. But we'll be going live a couple times a week to get your questions answered, get you guys unstuck, and get you guys moving forward, as well as participating in the community in a private Facebook group. So it's just the people that are involved in that group. And it's literally, all of a sudden I had to think about it because people have been saying, what am I doing offering it at this price? And I've never offered anything at this price point before, but I feel like now's the time. Laura says, can't figure out how to submit photo from my mobile app. So you should be able, in the comment section, there should be a photo there. I'm not on that, but let me pull up the comments. That's a good question. I'm not exactly sure at the moment, but that's something that we can research and look into. Or if someone can Google it, awesome. So, this monthly program is going to be literally $19.97 a month. Like, that's it. I wanted something that was under $20 that I can provide massive volume to a large group of people that are really focused on wanting to move forward, but might be at the moment having some financial challenges. And it doesn't mean that you'll have financial challenges forever, but right now it's an opportunity to still get the connection and still move forward. And then obviously, Miriam just is working with me one-on-one. And some of my clients are doing coaching programs, and some of my clients work with me for a year at a time. So everybody's a little different on where they're at right now. The goal is not to wait and hold out until you can get to the next level. It's what can I do today that requires the energy, the activation energy to move things forward. Helping a person get results, that's the easy part. Helping a person trust themselves enough to take the next simple step, that's the most challenging thing. Because again, if you look at that map where I'm talking about, fear operating and making choices or decisions from fear, self-doubt, and anxiety, it's very hard for a person to make a choice based on confidence and certainty. And because they're drained. They might be drained physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially. And so it's very hard for them to take that leap. Now, Miriam, literally, we connected on Facebook back and forth, and all of a sudden she took action. So instantly she's going to notice a shift in her energy because she took the next simple step. Now, whether you work with me or not, it doesn't really matter to me. It's just what I'm trying to do is tell you that you have to figure out ways to take the next simple step. And it doesn't have to be, if you want a car, you don't have to hold out for the Bentley. You don't have to hold out for the Range Rover. You're still more than, most of you have a car. And you purchase that car based on where you're at today, not where you're going to be, or you're not holding out for the Ferrari, even though that your income or your salary or your job doesn't allow right now the moment for that. Hello, Vasiliki. Awesome. So glad that you're here. That's so nice. All right, good. So what I want you guys to think about is, again, what is the amount of energy that's required to take the next simple step? So one of the things that we talked about was, self-care. And so a lot of times it's what is that activation energy, what is that next simple thing? A lot of times for women, travel is usually in the top 5. Usually it's number 4 as far as the things that women want to achieve or experience progress in. And number 4 is usually travel. And so I talk with women all over the world all day long. And they're like, well, I'd love to travel. Okay, well, where do you want to travel? I'd love to go to, Spain or something like that. Okay, great. Well, how much is that trip? What's the flight look like? Well, I don't know. And then I'll ask a series of other questions, and usually, I don't know. I haven't looked. Very, very few times has somebody actually priced it out and done the legwork into knowing how much it's going to cost. Because when we do that, we either have accountability, because now all of a sudden we realize that we could do it, but the fear, self-doubt, and anxiety is holding us back from actually moving forward because the what-ifs creep in. Well, what if this happens? What if that happens? Oh my gosh. I experienced it on my getting ready to go to Rome and Greece. I'm like, oh my gosh, what if this happens? Oh my gosh, maybe this is going to happen. And all of a sudden, I'm like, what am I doing? Next thing you know, I'm like standing in front of the Parthenon. And I'm like, this is amazing. But I had to get out of my own way and just take the next simple step. And for me, I'd studied the Parthenon and things like that 25 years ago. I'd always thought that on my bucket list, okay, it's something I want to do. Well, next thing you know, I'm doing it. And it's not because, there's massive success or things like that. It's just something that all of a sudden, I set my intention to and I wanted to achieve. And now Now I have dust from the Parthenon, on my shoes. I've been in the Sistine Chapel. I know what it's what it's like. It's amazing. It's crowded, but it's amazing. And not only that, but understanding the detail and the planning that goes into those types of things. Because again, we have to constantly be studying and learning and always being increasing our capacity, our capabilities, our skill set, and our mindset. Because this is a game of expansion. You're expanding or you're contracting. And all too often, most people are contracting. And that's when their social life implodes. That's when they have disruptions in their finances and things like that. And then they turtle. And you can see it in their space. They stop using the maximum amount of their space and they start getting smaller and smaller into using only certain rooms or certain sectors or something like that. And then if you really have challenges, maybe then you completely close off rooms. Now it's not a junk drawer, it's a junk room. Debbie says, finally got it. Awesome. High five to you, Debbie. I love that. I'm going to hit a like. So if you guys are enjoying this, feel free to submit your likes, your questions, your comments. For those that are able to, feel free to submit a photo if you have them, or if you have a simple question regarding Feng Shui or anything else for that matter, feel free to submit it. One of the things I I submitted earlier was talking about, I'm going to scroll down here and look. A strong man can handle a strong woman. A weak man will say she has an attitude. So that says a lot. And to me, I think women are incredibly, it's not women, it's you, right? Each one of you, I believe, is Wonder Woman. That's a fact. But maybe, as I've said in the past, maybe you just forgot where you parked your invisible jet. So all we have to do is help you figure out where you parked it so you can take off and fly again. That's it. It's not all this complicated stuff. And all too often, people overcomplicate it because they're scared. Or they have fear, self-doubt, or anxiety. And it's not because you want to be scared. It just happens. It's human nature. What about the front door color related to your sign and direction facing? So Jamie, here's my take on the front door colors. Now, everybody has a different opinion, and you have to do what's right for you. And you can go and you can find Google and you can search online and stuff like that. For me, the way that I operate and do Feng Shui is, first of all, I'm focused on the outcomes more so than the tool. So Feng Shui is just a tool. That's all it is. It's a tool to help you get clarity and help you continue to make progress in your life so that you can live the life that you love and desire. And so that you can have a bigger impact in the world and make a difference and be able to create and share your gifts with the world. So if I'm operating from that perspective, to me, it's not a one color fits all for every person. A lot of times people are like, oh, it's got to be red. It's got to be because it's facing east or this, that, and the other. The reality is sometimes that color, such as red, may make you angry or may make you anxious or things like that. So the way that I operate, all of a sudden my puppy I'm hearing sounds and I'm thinking he's chewing on something that he shouldn't be. Okay. So, the way that I work is one of two ways. Either the space is calling for something or the occupants are calling for something. And so I learned a long time ago that as things come to me, it's my job to share them with you, whether they make sense to me or not. So for me, for door colors, and you can look on my website or you can Google it, just type Ken and then door color, front door color, and I think I've written several articles on this in the past. Auspicious, if you're thinking of auspicious or lucky color, yeah, red is that color. But very few houses and very few people want to have a bright red door. So it's also about, you're talking about related to the sign and the direction. Miriam says, when you live in a gated community, you don't have a choice in door color. Yeah, that can happen. So for me, I don't necessarily look at the direction or necessarily the sign. The sign, which is maybe your astrology or, Eastern philosophy or things like that, it can tell you a little bit about who you are and what you are, but the goal is who are you and what really motivates you or what really excites you or what feeds you. When I first started Feng Shui, I was doing a lot of red. And at some point, I kind of had an epiphany and I realized that red actually drains me. I don't enjoy red. It makes me tense. It makes me angry. It makes me frustrated. So I literally threw out my red shirts because I'm like, I don't like them anymore. And so a lot of times I won't wear red because I like other colors. So same thing with your door color. Your door color should help rejuvenate you so that when you see it, you are happy. Now, you also have to look at, a lot of times people choose things based on where they're at today and it will mimic where they're at. But light colors like greens, like blues, beiges, earth tones, those are all good colors for that. Shane says, my left side of the small first hall is a clothes closet. It's crammed with shoes, boots, clothes. It also looks like an indentation. What can I do to activate this space? Well, the question is, why do you need to activate it? It's a closet. Like literally, that's what it comes down to. Jamie, you're so awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So awesome. Good. I hope that made sense on the door colors. So, Missy says, how do you find out what feeds you? So let me, first of all, go back to the question about the clothes closet. Like at the end of the day, it's a clothes closet. Like sometimes there's these articles where they're like, empty half your closet so you can make room for your significant other. Like, that's just nonsense. Like, why would you completely empty out a space that you're not going to use? So instead of expansion, to me, that's contraction. Because all of a sudden you're not truly using what's available to you. And not only that, but in my opinion, in the subconscious mind, you will stop using a lot of the tools that are going to help you make progress, or that all of a sudden you don't have the amount of options that you want. So when you look at people that play chess, there's a big difference between master and grandmaster. And here's the difference. The difference is both can see the same number of steps out. So they're both looking out about the same number of steps. But the difference between the master and the grandmaster is the grandmaster has exponential more options and opportunities in each of those moves. So be thinking about that for yourself. How do you create and understand the web or the weave, the fabric of understanding? How do you create more opportunities for yourself? And how do you create more options, or how do you have a different perspective? Right? All of a sudden my puppy is he's up to no good. So that's what I want you guys to think about is, what do you need to do to help with that? So how do you find out what feeds you? Well, there are certain things that when you do them, you feel better. When you feel better, you want to do more of them. So, example, like right now, I'm in the Catskill Mountains. So, I feel rejuvenated when I'm around grass and trees. Now, most of the time, I live in New York City. So, land of the concrete jungle. Comet, come. Comet, come. Comet, come. Josette wants to see you. Comet, come. I don't actually know what he's into. So, I will show you. Oh, here he comes. What are you? Come here. Comet, come. Come. He has wrapped himself up in a charging cable, which means, yeah, okay. Pardon the interruption, guys, but it's a live call, so let's see. Comment. Hi, boy. Hi. What you doing? That is Comet. Comet is fun. He brings a lot of chi and good energy to our space, so cool. So, when I think about what feeds you, you already know the answer to that question. I don't need to dictate it to you. The challenge is a lot of times, again, when we have fear, self-doubt, and anxiety, that those things are blocked. And we don't quite understand. Or we're not willing to do it until somebody tells you or gives you permission to do it. Josette, love that. So glad that you guys enjoyed that. Thanks for all the hearts and the love. So what I was talking about, Missy, is, environments. Some people feel rejuvenated around the water or the ocean. Some people like the dry weather and the dry heat. Like some people love Arizona. Some people want to live next to the ocean in Florida or California or something like that. Some people thrive in the mountains. So that is, an environment that you thrive on. So there are probably a lot of things that you thrive on, including, the color of your car, the color of your wardrobe. All these different things are supporting you. And when you're out of that alignment, then all of a sudden you feel anxious or you feel off or things like that. So be aware, and not just aware, but when you're aware, then what can you do to take action to move things forward? And all too often, don't do it because somebody else wants you to do it. This happens all day long. Like people are like, oh, here's what you're going to do. And I'm like, no, this is not what I'm going to do. And you always give yourself an option or an opportunity, because the worst thing is you ask and somebody can say no, and that's fine. And sometimes that works out okay too. But at the end of the day, you have to be confident enough to be clear about what you really want and what's your intention. Doesn't mean you're going to get your way 100% of the time. But if you have your intention and then you put your energy behind your intention, you become exponentially increase your ability to manifest. So be thinking about that. Awesome. So anybody else if you have any other comments or questions or photos, I'd love to see those here. Or any type of question that you have going on, would love to help with that. And then, like I said, in the next week or so, we'll be launching this new membership program. Again, it's going to be a monthly investment of only $19.97. So literally, you say you don't do 4 Starbucks for the month and you'd be part of the group. So it's going to be an amazing opportunity. I can't wait to see the level of community and camaraderie in that community and really developing it, and then also giving people insight and accountability so that they can continue to move forward. So I hope you are going to be one of those people that join in that program and that opportunity so that we can work through the challenges that life brings us, the overwhelm, the complexity, so that you can live a life of complete clarity. So, yeah. All right. Awesome. So let's see if anybody else has 1 or 2 more questions. We'd love to be able to answer those. And then we will touch base next Tuesday for another Feng Shui Live Q&A. This Thursday at noon Eastern Time, I'll also be launching a celebrity home and life review. So feel free to join me. So Josette says, question, I'm going to come over to my computer. In our condo, our balconies are facing each other very close, that we can have a normal conversation. Any ideas? Sure. You know, well, the one thing that comes to mind is there's a town in Europe, and I can't recall the name of the town, but you know, the town has tons of fountains. And so in the olden days, people wanted to have confidential conversations, and so they sat around the fountains because the sound of the water would drown out the ability to understand what people were talking about. So same thing with you guys. Understand what are the things that can to help soften the sounds. You know, the simple ones literally is white noise machine, the sound machine, music, you know, wind chimes, water, the sound of water, all these things, or figuring out how can it absorb certain things, or how can you block the sound waves from potentially traveling. So all those things. So Shane says, inner hall, use all the items. I'm not quite understanding if you're talking about if in the inner hall to use all those items, because if it's in an inner hall in between condos or, you know, apartments, you're not going to have fountains or things like that. So, you know, that can be frustrating if you're hearing noise from other apartments or something like that. But again, focus on what you can control and not on what you can't. Maybe you're not able to control the the sounds in the hallway, but you can control what your environment sounds like. So Shane says, when you come into my house, there's a table with a plant, a big painting with 2 dogs in a gold frame, and a low lamp. Elements. So I don't know if that's a question of what elements to use. Usually, I'm not looking at it from a perspective of what element do I need to introduce. Usually, majority of people are, inner hall inside my home. All right. I'm not quite following the path or the question here. If the hallway contains the table, I'm sorry, I'm not quite following this thread because we're talking about a lot of different things. Fire, earth, air, water. Yeah, so I'm not really following you. And for an inner hallway or something like that, you're not really adding elements. You kind of just want the hallway to disappear and move forward, and you don't necessarily want to block it. You can add certain things that might open it up a little bit, but keep it simple. So, all right, we have just another minute or two, and then we're going to sign off for today. So, guys, here's what I want you to think about. You know, we talked about several things today. And one is, I mean, you want to feel happy when you get home. Yeah, absolutely. And you want to look at things that aren't going to remind you of work or frustration or anything like that. So those are usually soothing pictures, things that make you happy, things that are relaxed. So here's what I wanted to follow up on, guys. You know, we talked about a couple things at the beginning, and that was self-care. So no problem. So what I want you to do is think about what is something simple that you can do today for self-care. Like we talked about getting a pedicure. We talked about taking a walk. So think about those things and understand not what can you do for yourself this week or this month, but what can you do for yourself today? And it doesn't have to be 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. It could be literally 3 minutes. You know, something very simple. So think about what are you going to do today that you're going to manifest, make happen, or achieve, or take action on. So think about that and do that. You know, and again, on some of the things that you want to manifest, start to break down the steps. Example, like travel. If you want to travel, actually price out the travel. Start to call in and start to help have the universe set yourself up for what you actually want to achieve, rather than keeping it a secret and keeping it a mystery to a lot of people. So, with that, make sure that you're taking the amount of energy required to take the next simple step, which is the activation energy. Do your self-care today. And again, for those that do that, if it's whether it's a pedicure, a walk, or anything like that, submit the photos below. I'd love to see how you guys manifest. I'd love to see the action that you guys take. And I'd love to see how you guys are changing the story and how you're experiencing not only your space, but your life. And then hope to have several of you join in the further discussion on the membership program. Shane says, I bought an orchid today and I'm admiring it right now. I love that. So feel free to submit a photo when you're on your computer. I'd love to see the orchid because I love orchids. So, So love to continue the conversation with those that are moving forward with a consultation or in the membership group. I'll be providing more information about that in the coming days or again next week, and look forward to talking with you guys next Tuesday. And then join me on Thursday for Celebrity Home and Life Reviews, where we're going to be talking about 2 homes and starting to figure out what are the patterns that are telling the story about what those occupants or the celebrities or well-known people are experiencing. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you, and look forward to talking with each of you further. And thanks again for all your participation on the Facebook page. It's nice to see some familiar faces and familiar names and all of the top fans and stuff like that. Missy, thank you for being here. Miriam, looking forward to talking to you in the next day or two. And hope you guys have an amazing day, and go be Wonder Woman or Superman, because you guys are awesome. So thanks so much for being here, and I'll talk to you soon.